All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of O365A. And today's episode, we are going to be talking about the retiring of Exchange Unified Messaging on premises and in Exchange Online. So I'm going to ask Michael to start us off.
Yeah, so first we should set the cursor of what unified messaging is. So Exchange Unified Messaging, which was built on the speech engine, Microsoft Speech Engine 2007, has been the voicemail platform for all the Microsoft Unified Communication stacks since OCS 2007, Link and Skype for Business Server, and many third-party PBXs. And then this service was moved into Exchange Online, still built on that speech engine 2007. So it didn't really get a refresh for quite some years, 12 years. So this would deposit your voicemails into your Exchange mailbox. And I'll pass it over to Dino to talk about the current state of unified messaging and then kind of the migration paths for that service.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So I mean, obviously, today there's two options. You're either using Exchange on-prem with one of the Exchange server versions, or you were using Microsoft Exchange Online, unified messaging for your voicemail services. If you're using Exchange Server on-prem, something important to note is that Exchange Server 2019 will be the first version not to support the unified messaging role. So if you're considering migration, you're currently using one of the previous server products on-prem, please note that 2019 server does not include that role any longer, so you'll have to make take alternative action to handle your voicemail services. On the cloud side, if you are a customer today using Exchange Online Unified Messaging, then Microsoft's looking at you and putting customers into three different camps with different timelines associated to them in terms of their migration path. So those would be customers who are ready to migrate now, customers with some prerequisites, and then customers who require some greater level of admin involvement and even in further customer involvement. So customers who are ready to migrate would be a simple scenario would be you're using Skype for Business on-prem today, either 2015 or 2019, and users are just consuming the voicemail services in Exchange that will start happening between March and May of 2019. So apparently it's already started. I'm not aware of any customers that have been moved yet, but this is what they've indicated. Customers with prerequisites are those that are running voicemail and auto attendance today. So they're giving you a little bit longer time from May till December of 2019. So you've got auto attendance running, then you're going to have to make a migration plan to start using the organizational auto attendance in Azure Voicemail. So you'll have to plan. So that time frame will go from May to December of 2019. And then lastly, if you're using or consuming third-party PBXs and that need voicemail services, you've got Skype for Business Server 2010. You're going to need to make some more serious changes because 2010 isn't supported. So you'll have to migrate to either 2015 or 2019 first, and deal with your third-party PBX as well if you're in that camp. That timeline is by February of 2020. So there you have the three different camps, and I'm going to pass it over to Kurt to tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Dino. So from a feature parity perspective, people are probably interested in what am I missing with cloud voicemail versus unified messaging. So some noteworthy features that won't be available in cloud voicemail, as Dino alluded to, there's no support for third-party PBX. There's no PSTN dial-in access, no PSTN access to Outlook voice. And also on a voicemail front, there's a couple of missing features. One is you lose the ability to record a personal greeting over PSTN. Not surprising given that PSTN access isn't supported. And also, there's no ability to disable transcription for your users. Now, this is what's missing today. Microsoft has a whole roadmap of what will be addressed, what won't. These limitations are outlined in a support article, and we'll include a link to that support article in the blog post for this podcast. But also on a voicemail front, there's no ability in cloud voicemail to send a voice message to a group of users, or voicemail notification using SMS. That's currently not there. And from an auto attendant perspective, there's a couple of noteworthy missing features that will be addressed in calendar year 19. So today there's no ability to dial via extension, and there's no ability for auto attendant callers to leave a message. But again, that's on the roadmap for calendar year 19, so that should be addressed sometime this year. Over to Habib to tell us some more.
Yeah, so some of the I'll be talking about the features that are coming within the calendar year of 2019. Curtis just mentioned the three of them there. So the transfer PSTN number to external number, extension dialing, so being able to have that dial by extension functionality. Currently today you can search by the user, and then again leaving a voicemail from the auto attendant. So that's from the auto attendant side of things. And then from the voicemail side, so there's only a few new features that are coming in the current state roadmap. So from a voicemail perspective, there's going to be support for Skype for Business server, and that's going to be coming in Q1 calendar 19. And that's essentially, Microsoft will change probably the routing in the back end today if you're currently using hosted voicemail services to route the call from to Azure voicemail services. And then the second portion, the next feature, I should say, is the ability to create call answering rules. And that's in the current state where you have Outlook answering rules, where you can have your own personal routing functionality in order to get the call where you want it to. So when somebody gets to your voicemail, you can create these different flows in which you can say, for option 1, press this, 2, press this, and it will go to that location. And then the last one here is just being able to administer all those within a web portal as opposed to managing it when you dial in. So anyways, Michael, if you want to give us a chat about the third-party stuff.
Yeah, before I jump into that, Kurt was mentioning that you don't have the ability to send voicemails to a distribution group or that SMS integration. It's kind of interesting because you could probably use Microsoft Flow in those aspects and parse those messages and then send it out to a group of people or a distribution list, or tie into Twilio or something and do SMS. So maybe that's something as an alternative. But yeah, so as Dino mentioned, February 2020 is kind of that drop dead date. So if you're in an organization that hasn't made the switch to Microsoft as your PBX, or if you're running Link 2010 and you're using unified messaging online, or if you're looking to upgrade to Exchange 2019, your options are really getting to Skype for Business Server 2019. Getting to Teams, or finding an alternative voicemail platform for those third-party PBXs. So there is an option out there. This Xmedius, which is a merger from AVST. They have like 35 years of experience. They're a Microsoft Gold partner. So they've been in this space for a long time. They're actually headquartered in Montreal, so Canadian theme, but they do have offices in the US and in Europe. And so their product, which was CXE, is now XM Connect. And so they have an alternative unified messaging option, which is either cloud-based or on-premises. So even if you are Skype for Business Server 2019 and you want to not maybe use Azure voicemail service, you could deploy this as an on-prem service. That hook for Skype for Business would be via a trusted application. But for those third-party PBXs, it would just a simple SIP trunk. It would do all the attendance and the voicemail routing, and then that can deposit those messages into Exchange, Exchange Online, even Gmail if you want. And they have quite the user base. They have something like 20 million users, so it's a well-established platform. But they can even hook into the unified messaging Outlook forms. So the way you could play your voicemails in Outlook, it actually replicates that. So to your users, they have that same look and feel as unified messaging. Yeah, they have that hook in. They don't have that play on phone option. That was something unique for unified messaging, but they have a data sheets of functionality, and it's kind of quite impressive as an alternative for a voicemail platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I wasn't really aware of all that integration that they have, especially with the on-prem functionality, right? So that's kind of cool that you'd be able to hook into your existing Skype for Business server and route the call there. So that's pretty cool. So I think there's a lot of really great information. If you fall into the scenarios, the migration scenarios that Dino had mentioned, I think you just need to sort of start planning today, because it's going to be a short-term swap out, I should say. And from a migration perspective, now we have seen some extension happen with some other products that were supposed to be removed, or the functionality be removed. But I mean, I think it's the main point of our discussion today is to ensure that you start planning now and start figuring out where you need to be. So if you're using a third-party PBX, if you want to go to Azure voicemail services, follow the Microsoft path down. And if you're not into wanting to do that, then you talk about the third-party company that Michael mentioned as well. So all good discussions here. So anyways, thanks everybody for listening in, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode.
See you guys.